Hi everyone, this is Ashley and today I'm making a layout based on the January sketch from Cocoa Daisy. So the sketch features two small photos and I get them on the page and decide that I like them because I don't always like the photos once I put them on a blank page. And then I go through the paper that was included in the January kit from Cocoa Daisy called Blueprint and just sorting through them off camera and laying out pages that I like, that I think complement the photos well. It looks like I'm thinking about some aqua green kind of colors, and I really like the warmth of a little bit of yellow, so I pull out two yellows from the kit that I like that right now I think I'm either going to use as a background or as an accent. I'm not really sure, but I'm just finding colors that I think match. So once I have it narrowed down, I take the photos and just put them on top of the paper just to see what blends, what complements in a good way, what contrasts. I think the yellow is too yellow, and I'm drawn to my first impulse, which was that aqua kind of color. But I like it on the paler background because, I don't know, the photos just work better. I guess they stand out a little more because there's some dark colors in the background, and Evie Gray's outfit's kind of dark. So I'm doing this page in 8.5 by 11, even though the sketch is for 12 by 12, so I'm just going to trim down that 12 by 12 piece of paper into a smaller format. And then it's time to start thinking about embellishments, so I just like to lay them out and fiddle around with the photos. In the sketch, they're kind of offset, almost corner to corner, but I like them lined up a little more. I just think it works better with the way the photos are arranged. So I'm still thinking about that yellow paper, so I pull it out and just tuck it underneath my layout just to kind of keep it in mind. And I cut off that heart strip from that Amy Tangerine paper. And in the sketch, there's some little lines of journaling that go horizontally down the page. And I use those lines for inspiration just to cut up this little cut off strip with those cute little sort of cross-stitch look hearts and place them down the page approximately where the journaling was on the original sketch. So instead of using it as lines of journaling, I'm using it as a decorative element. So I just get them all arranged, and then I really like to fiddle around with the placement of things because sometimes just nudging something over a fraction of an inch makes a big difference. So I'm thinking about matting the photos, and I use some of this great paper that was designed by Stephanie Wheeler for Cocoa Daisy, and I just sort of hack it out of the sheet. I'd used a piece on another layout, so it's really easy just to cut another hunk out and not feel like I'm ruining my paper, because really the paper is meant to be cut up, so you can't ruin it by cutting it. So I put it underneath the photos, and that just gives them just a little tiny bit of distinction from the background paper. And then I go for my old favorite book page and rip it, and don't do a very good job of ripping it, so I rip it again to kind of neaten up the edge because I want it messy but not too messy. And that looks like that's a size that'll fit underneath the photos if I can ever pick them up. And I like them a little bit offset so you get the kind of like a layered, haphazard kind of look, like a stack of papers that I just tossed down on my desk. And then fiddle around the photos some more. Go back to the way I had them originally. And then when I put the photos down, I kind of nudge the book pages off the pattern paper mat. But I like that, so I leave it. And then more fiddling, nudge those photos more towards the center, and I like the way it puts one of the photos directly underneath those cut apart strips. So usually when I'm trying to decide what next to do in a layout, I sometimes just pick up like a package of embellishments, or in this case those lovely vellum tape strips. Just kind of hold it up and take a look and see what will work. And I decided that nothing's going to work right now, so it's just time to put the title down. I had thought about putting it on the empty spot on the bottom corner of the layout the way the sketch called for, but I really liked the way it looked over top of the cut apart strips. So this is my box of leftover Cocoa Daisy embellishments. I just sort them all away after I get the new kit, and that way when I'm working on a page like this and I need something, I just go to my old kit supplies and see what I find. So I have some of these lovely yellow photo corners by Teresa Collins that came in a kit recently, and I put them on. I put 4 on the one photo and 2 on the other, so they're both kind of framed, but they're a little bit different. On the one photo sort of is a little offset from the other one. I do that a lot on my pages. I like it. Okay, so this page needs something else, and I think I'm going to punch out a big heart. And I decided that kind of elongated honeycomb pattern was too busy. So I go for one of the Amy Tangerine papers in the kit and punch out a heart, and I decided to slide it under the title because anywhere else in the page was just kind of too busy and it just distracted, and it was kind of looked like another thing on the page instead of another thing on the page in a good way. And so then I take a picture because I'm not really super sure if I actually like it. Sometimes it's hard to tell whether it's busy in a good way or busy in a bad way. So then I take a picture without the heart, and I decide to go with the heart. So there it is, back underneath the title, or part of the title. So at this point, I'm like, oh, I just have to glue this down because it's like 11:30 at night, and I have to get this page done. So in order not to shift around my delicate little placement of things, I just sort of peel them up around the corners. And then I decided to trim down the main part of the layout. And even though everything is already glued on, I just stick it in and just hack it apart. I'm going to put another piece of pattern paper behind it to kind of act like a mat. So I'm not really super worried about how precise this is. So I don't measure, and I'm just cutting off somewhere like about between 1/8 and 1/4 of an inch from each of the sides, because I kind of want the design that I've already glued down to remain somewhat centered on the page. Sometimes I just cut a hunk off one side and then just kind of have like an offset design, but I want this one to be centered. So if I can ever get it cut apart, I will eventually put it on a background paper so the whole layout is like matted. Okay, here we go. So there's a yellow paper by I think October Afternoon, and there is the layout. You can see there's just a little tiny bit of an edge showing. And then my favorite little scuffy tool. This one is by Making Memories, and I have the Tim Holtz one too, but Tim Holtz one is smaller, so I tend to lose it on my messy desk. And then I'm going to fiddle around with it, and it's probably not even cut straight, but I don't really mind because it's not supposed to be perfect. But the title is all wonky, and I keep fiddling with it. So I put those little strips back up there, and then I scuff them up with my nail a little bit. Sometimes I do that just so the edges aren't quite so perfect and fresh cut looking. And then I spotted that little gray scalloped chipboard piece, and I really wanted to put it at the top. There we go, but it's not quite right. So I tried it at the bottom, and I kind of liked it, but back at the top, oh, I don't know. I like it at the bottom. Even though I wanted to put it at the top, it looked better at the bottom. So I'm going to go with the bottom. I thought about putting some journaling on one of these labels from, I think, the Dear Lizzie line from, I don't know when. But the yellow is kind of the wrong shade of yellow, and I don't want to introduce another color into the layout because there's already gray, yellow, and some sort of tealy aqua color. And then I try the tape strips again because I do love them, but I can't figure out how to put them on the page in a way to add to the page and not distract. So here I go back into my Cocoa Daisy stash, and I think I need like a subtitle or more title, but done in smaller letters. So I've pulled out all the little tiny letters that I've received in kits over the past few months, and just sort through them, see what colors and sizes look like they'll work. And so far, looks like I just found one. I think that they are basic gray stickers. So here I add on the second part of the title. I want to say Another Day in the Sun, because Evie Gray had jaundice when she was born. And so for like almost 2 weeks at home, we kept moving around from window to window, trying to find like a sunny spot for her to sleep in. So she was about 6 days old in these pictures, just sleeping in the sun. So I have tons of pictures of her sleeping in the sun. So I'm going to use a little letter stickers to write in the, but the titles are wonky. I used a pair of tweezers when I put down letter stickers because I find it easier to get the placement just right. And I'm having a really hard time with this title because it's crooked, but not in a good way. It looks just like someone did a bad job putting the title down, not like I put the title down, but it's crooked in a good way. So even though this layout only took about half an hour to put together, I spent a lot of time fiddling with the little tiny placements of things. Just moving things over by a millimeter or two makes a huge difference in the way things look in the end. So I'm not super happy with it yet. So there I go, fiddling. And for me, this is a huge part of the design process, is just sitting and sometimes I just stand and just stare at a layout for like 10 or 15 minutes at a time. And I don't even do anything to it, but it's like a really critical part. So I'm trying to decide where to put these little letters. I thought I was going to put journaling in the blank spot, so it would be kind of like another day and then a whole bunch of stuff and then in the sun. But I didn't like the way that fit, so I put it on the side. Okay, so I've typed up the journaling on my typewriter and I'm just cutting it apart into little strips, and then I'm going to figure out where it's going to go. So I tried it in between the title like I thought I wanted it, and just grabbed my huge honking ATG and put on some adhesive. And sometimes the adhesive, I'm not very good at putting it on, so I just use my finger to kind of like roll it to the back of the page. And then I thought maybe it would be kind of nice up at the top. So once again, kind of like that little chipboard piece, even though I wanted to put it in between the title, I think it actually worked better at the top. So I'm a little reluctant, but I think I'm gonna go for it. And then I get out my tweezers to fiddle around with those little strips because they're being a pain. And then a little more date and name journaling strip down there at the very bottom. Stick that one down too. Okay, there we go. It's almost done. I just need to, I need to finish gluing it together. So I don't cover the whole paper with ATG like you see a lot of people doing, just a few little pieces here and there. It seems to hold it on enough. And give a little press down a little bit gently. And there, I think the page is done. Excepting for I forgot to glue on that piece. And this often happens to me. I pick up a layout and then like something falls off of it. And I realize, oh, I didn't glue that on. So there we go. I hope I'm not the only person that actually forgets to glue my layouts together. So there's the finished page made with the January Cocoa Daisy kit. Another day in the sun.